Welcome to another episode of Zero Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I am so excited to have on a 32-year-old from Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, a third-round draft pick of the St. Louis Blues. His hockey journey has taken him to Canada, the USA, Austria, Germany, Wales, Scotland, and Slovakia. A staple and legend with the Sioux Greyhounds before they shipped his ass to Plymouth. Laced up in over 200 A games, mainly with the Worcester Sharks. He's been running amok of my old honey holes in Deutschland and the UK, where he is a playoff champion with the Shed's favorite team, the Cardiff Devils. He's fresh off dominating the Slovak League and dismantling Team GB and the other dandies at Matthew Myers Testimonial and becoming a champion with yours truly. Welcome to the Shed, James Livingston.
Thanks for having me, Wally.
Hey.
Good to be on.
Yeah, so nice to see you again. Just saw you a couple days ago.
That's right.
It's been busy.
What a time that was.
Sure was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I get into how we know each other. I got a picture on the wall here, and I was telling you this, like you're up on the wall in the Shed here, and you were the captain of the Fife Flyers when I came over to Cardiff, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That was funny when you brought that up, because at first I didn't really have any idea what you were talking about. Uh-huh. And then you're like, no, I have your picture.
Totally meant more to me than you.
Well, yeah. There's a lot going on in that moment. I was really flattered to be asked to do this ceremonial puck drop. I guess.
And it's your first game back in Cardiff after running amok in the playoffs.
That's right. Exactly. So it was like coming back. There was a lot of emotion being back in Cardiff, and then to take the draw. I guess I didn't really pay as much attention to the.
It's okay.
To the ceremonial puck dropper as
doesn't even hurt. Yeah. That's cool.
But yeah, we talked about that, and then you mentioned it, and then now that I see the picture on the wall, of course I remember exactly. And when you said it was against Joey and everything, so fun
fact, I had literally 2 minutes earlier, I was spray painted naked doing the pregame speech, and then got dressed business casual, ran around the arena, and there's that picture right there.
Well, that's why they played so well. They had a little extra motivation.
Yeah, no, they remembered hockey was fun. I think that day.
I think you mentioned multiple times after that Cardiff won 3-0. So
well, they did,
Yeah.
So you probably don't even remember me spray painted in the crowd later, then, eh? You're probably just sad you were losing, like that goalie that blew the Shed out at the end, eh? It's not my fault. One guy that was on your team though, that's been in the Shed, Scott Arson. He's a dandy.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. I actually got to sit next to Scott in the room, so we got to chit chat a lot about back playing in the OHL against each other and just different experiences we had. And yeah, he's one of the good guys for sure.
Well, for me, I was thinking that you got a hell of a leadership core in Fife that year with you and him. Those are two good dudes in my eyes.
When we were in Fife, we actually were really lucky. We had a really, really good group of people. They're all nice guys. Unfortunately, the season that we had, we didn't really compete that well with the budgets and the big teams, and
it can be hard, right? When you
yeah, so that was pretty tough on us for the way the season went, but it was a good, a really nice group of people, and like you said, guys like Arson, and I mean Crowder, you'd remember he was in Cardiff as well. He was there, and he was a great guy as well. So there were good leadership qualities for sure.
Well, we'll get into that year later, but then I guess the way we know each other is we really met this weekend at Matthew Myers Testimonial in Cardiff. And what a time.
What a weekend it was. I mean, man, it's a testament to the organization of how many people wanted to go back and just to be a part of this game. And Myers as well. Obviously, he's such a great person. We were only together for a short amount of time there in Cardiff, but we hit it off. We were playing together actually right when I arrived. And he was always so gracious and welcoming. And
so were you playing wing?
Yeah. Usually I play wing most of the time, but then I'm also I'm pretty versatile, so
that's what I thought. Yeah,
anywhere in the lineup, for any line and any position. So I get chucked.
You seem like a type of guy that could play up and down the lineup. I was envisioning you more of a centerman, like a defensive centerman that also scores just under a point a game, which pretty well every team needs, but mainly a penalty killer.
Yeah, I do a little bit of everything, and that's it. It kind of actually helps and hurts me in some cases, because I'm one of those versatile players that they can't really put in a box.
Yeah. So and the people like their roles, right?
Yeah,
we're signing this guy for the second line left wing, and he's going to play power play, but the right winger on the second line, he's going to play penalty kill, right?
Yeah, and exactly. So they have kind of a box to put everyone in, and then on top of that, like I'm a pretty big guy, so as well as having some skill and everything else, then all of a sudden it's like, look, we got no checking on our fourth line.
So now you can go down there and start
put you in there and go throw some weight around. So
and you have no problem doing whatever for the team. I could tell. And that's how teams win championships, just like we did.
That's it, man. Team guys, you need them.
You do. Weren't you playing some D in that 4-on-4 match?
Yeah, which is, for a guy who skates backwards pretty poorly. That's
I didn't see that. But no, like I'm sure everybody can tell what I do in the shed is I try to promote the good people in hockey. And if anybody can tell, you were my first call out of Cardiff. So just got home and you were my first reach out because I want everybody to hear what type of guy you are, what type of teammate you are. And you already are making it a layup for me by saying you'll do whatever, play up and down the lineup. So pretty easy for me, folks. So where and what are you doing now?
Right now I'm in London, England. My wife's working here, so we're spending the summer here. It's nice that I get to kind of follow her around because she's been following me for my hockey journey for 7 years in Europe now. She's been with me. We've been living together. And
it is a lot on the women. My wife did it for me, right? For pretty well a decade. And it is hard, right? Because they do have to somewhat like give up their careers, right?
Yeah, like she's lucky that she can work remotely for the most part. But there's a lot of moving around, packing up at the end of the season. It's a lot on everyone, and she's been such a champ about everything, and she's so supportive. So I'm really excited that we can be here and I can support her now. So it's good.
So do you get to make it home in the summer?
I haven't been home since before the pandemic. Actually, we had after my first season in Slovakia, it was we went to the finals that year, so it was a really short summer. So at that time there was a quarantine back in Canada too when you got home, so it didn't make sense. This summer my family is all on the Vancouver Island, so my wife's working here. They're all out on the very farthest possible area.
That's not close, and that ain't a cheap flight.
It's an expensive long flight, long travel. So I'm still considering if I can try and make it out there for a little bit, but we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you'd be wanting to see everybody at home. So you were just in Slovakia and you just put up, like, we were just talking about, like, where you're playing in the lineup could be anywhere, but you had 40 points in 50 games. Yeah,
I had a good season. I was among the top of the import scoring. I mean, I in the league, and I had a good season. This year, our team kind of underachieved a little bit, which was unfortunate. We had some bad luck, like, really. I mean, you can say that whenever a team.
And that's what happens though in Europe is if a team doesn't get the job done, that you get asked to leave. It happened to me.
That's it, right? Like the season was like, it's not really anything personal, but they're like, you know what, the way things went this season, we're going to start fresh. So, and
they just totally blow it up. And then there's no like culture. There's no carryover, and everybody's just trying to get to know each other. Like there's usually those teams, then there's no import that tells everybody like the ins and outs of the city, where to go, what to do, how to do this. And then your team players aren't as happy. You lose again the next year. Way to go, punks. That's what happens though. Don't blow up your teams, folks. Right?
Well, it falls on the imports too a lot too.
It does. When at the end of the day, that's what they think. They can't replace the natives, right?
The good Slovak guys are very like in short supply, so the imports are kind of more interchangeable, and you end up kind of taking the brunt of that. Yeah,
I understand. It happened to me. So as of right now, though, do you have a contract for next season?
I do not. I'm still looking. Teams, like, we're talking. My agent and I are chatting with people.
So you do have an agent. They don't have to contact the shed directly.
Well, I guess my agent's gonna have an assistant here now.
That's sure. Right. Yeah, folks, I have his number too. So just reach out. Good guy. Gonna help your team win. That's leader. Good teammate. Anyways, so you can contact me. I can pass you along. Whatever you guys want to do, that's listening, folks. Right?
That would be great. Yeah, I'm looking. I'm open to anything. I mean, we like every different country's a new adventure, so we're excited for any opportunity.
Yeah. No, so you've been on teams that are lower budget like Fife, but then you've also been on teams that are expected to win, eh?
Yeah, of course. And there's different pressures that come with either. I mean, there's other a team like Fife, like we said, maybe is a bit lower budget than a team like Cardiff, but I mean, it's not like you're not expecting to still win every night. Like you got to go give it your all, and it's sometimes the deck's a little bit stacked against you, but it doesn't.
You still got to go out there and get her done.
You still got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's get into this. Okay.
Sure.
Actually, I got to talk about the testimonial quick because I'm wearing the shirt. So my website maker guy, Sean Collins, I never did get the pleasure to meet the guy that's done all this for me voluntarily and sponsored the shed to pay for it, the website to stay up for like the next 2 years. He's done everything for me. He makes the clothes. He ships the clothes. There's a bag waiting for me that was packaged perfectly. And it said designed by Lee Freeman, Freeman Designs, my poster maker guy. It said delivered and whatever by Funk Off UK, which is my website maker guy. And they there's a package for me and it looked like I'm like a professional thing over here in Canada. And I'm just me talking to my friends in my shed. And they had this package with stickers and a thank you card from 2 L's and Hockey Tales. And I was like, how is this even possible with just good people helping me? So I can't thank you guys enough. Poster maker guy makes this shirt that says it's a good day for living just with my idea. He designs it and it says Shed Family Running Amok. And you know what? We are 3 days in a row. We're #1 in the UK ahead of Spit and Chicklets, ahead of Sportsnet, ahead of all of them. And it's just my hockey family helping me. So
that's awesome.
Pretty cool. So thank you guys.
To that. That's impressive. Those are good. That's
well, it's the guys that come on. That's what it's about. But Sean, the way you've helped me, and Lee, it was great meeting you finally. Made 180 something posters and I'd never met the guy. So it's nice to meet you last weekend too. But yeah, I even have a mug now that says, and these are available at aleshockeytales.com that has the shed on it and my logo, and it warms my heart. So I think that's neat.
You're decked out. Nice.
Yeah.
Really good.
Okay. Growing up in Halifax.
Yes. So a little bit to that. I was born in Halifax. My father was in the Air Force, he's a pilot. So we actually went coast to coast from Halifax to Vancouver, back to Halifax. And then we settled when I was 10 in Toronto area, just north. Oh. So I spent I played for minor hockey in Halifax a little bit. And then I continued my minor hockey in my teenage years, all in north of Toronto in the OMHA.
In the York Simcoe Express. I had played against them as a young buck. I was actually thinking that you'd grown up in Halifax and we're looking for more exposure. So that was what the research team was thinking, but okay. Makes more sense now. So yeah, York Simcoe Express. I remember playing those punks. So growing up in Halifax, so were you for a bit, or I guess not, didn't get into Donairs. That was one of my questions. You get into Donairs, don't you?
Not really, I guess. I mean, I think I've had them before. They're tasty.
You think, eh?
Yeah.
These young players are too in shape for me. Okay. Anyways, what did you go to Chippy Lane this weekend?
Yeah, I did. I saw you there.
Mm-hmm. What'd you get?
I think I had a chicken kebab wrap.
Yeah, my type of guy, folks. Someone mentioned to me though, it was Matthew Myers' wife, Diary. She's like, "Isn't it interesting on Chippy Lane when all the chips, like the French fries, get just smushed into the street, and it's almost like a skating rink. It's so slippery."
It's a special place. I mean, I love McCarve. It's so much fun. Every time I go there, I always have a great time. So
there's no way to not have a great time.
Seems like everyone ends up congregating there at the end of the night, and
it was so busy, that night when we went there.
Yeah.
The whole lane was packed.
You never know what to expect around there.
Okay, so anyways, where am I here now? So okay, you settled near Toronto. So then your whole family's there at that point?
That's right, yeah.
And you get drafted 5th overall to the Sioux Greyhounds. That is really, really high.
Yeah. Thank you.
Did you hit puberty early? Were you one of those man-childs?
I was huge.
Yeah.
I was in grade 8. I think I was 180 pounds and 6'1", 185 centimeters at that point. Mm-hmm. I didn't grow much after that, actually, but yeah, so I was kind of had a leg up in athleticism and everything. I'd already grown into my body a little bit before everyone else. So when I got drafted, I was already I'm a little heavier now, but I was already pretty.
You were ready to rock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't. I was just a wee little boy when I got drafted last overall.
Did you really?
Yeah, last overall. But there was a Bantam draft. It was like the year they were changing the draft. So there's still more rounds my age, but that year I was very last.
What year are you again? What?
83. Yeah.
83.
Yeah. You're just a young punk. I read it. Yeah. You're a 90, eh?
90, I know. Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, it doesn't. I played with a guy this year, Philip Messar, and he's I think he's rated in the first round to get drafted. He's 17 years old. So you want to talk, maybe feel pretty old in the dressing room. I got to tell you.
Yeah. It happens fast, eh? Cause like I was 32 when my knee went and it was over, but like I was the only guy on the team with kids until Marshy had one. And like, it just all happens really fast. Cause when I went over there, I was the youngest import in Germany.
Yeah. It's crazy. Right. And now 1 year you're still a young guy. And then all of a sudden you just look around and I'm the old guy.
Well, and every season though, your role on a team does change, right? Like as the young guy, different, not as much as expected of you in the room, but once you're in your 30s, like you have to be a good leader and teaching the kids the right things or they don't want you around, right?
Yeah, it kind of goes with the territory. Like you're expected to bring the experience that you've accumulated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And every year you're just got a different role based on your age, your role on the team, Anyways, where am I? Okay. 5th overall to Sioux. So then you go there, make the team. They're expected to. So you move to the Sioux. What's that like?
It was a lot. I mean, looking back now, I like at the time, you think you're so ready and everything, but I mean, looking back now, I was definitely really young, and it was an experience. I got to play for Craig Hartsburg, who was at the time he was the world junior coach. That was really exciting. He favored the older players, so as a young guy going in there, I was expected to listen and not talk and learn. Actually, that was one of the first things he said to us. It was like, rookies are to be seen, not heard. So we're like, okay, I don't really have much chat anyway, but
hard to feel like you fit in with that, but
yeah. But we had a really good group of guys, and like everyone, it's funny, like you joke now, like if you're in Ottawa and you're not playing well, they threaten to trade you to the Sioux, right? But when you're in the Sioux, like when you're up there, it's a small town in the middle of nowhere. The quickest trips are Saginaw and Sudbury, which are like 4 hours each.
Ugh.
And so it's a lot of travel, but you're a celebrity in the town. They absolutely love the hockey team. We had the new rink that year. That was the first season for the new rink when I got there. And so that was like really exciting. So there was a lot of buzz around the team. And then that first year we actually upset Saginaw, who had a powerhouse. So it was a great experience. And then, we upset Saginaw, and then we played London in the second round in the playoffs. And that was the team that had Sam Gagne and Pat Kane.
Like the best team ever, they say.
They were wild. They were a good team. That wasn't the year that they like won the Memorial Cup and everything, but they were right. Those guys, especially like Pat Kane, to play on.
That was the year he got like 145 points or something, right?
It was disgusting. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure maybe there's similar stories with guys that have played against McKinnon, but he's the first overall pick too, Pat Kane, and he just had the puck on a string, and if he wanted to do something, he did it.
Yeah. It's isn't it kind of like it's frustrating, but also like disheartening when you see someone that good, isn't it?
I mean,
like it's cool, but like
sense.
when you think
like,
you're trying to be good, how is he
that good? Like I know I'm a good hockey player. How is that guy so much better than me, right?
Right. Then that's what I mean, and it's like it's frustrating because that's what would happen to me in the summers. It's like I'm doing my own thing in like junior and then NCAA, and then you go out in the summer and you skate with some NHL guys, and you're like, well, holy shit.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And there's a flip side of that too, though. Sometimes you go out with a guy that's playing the NHL,
and you're like, yeah,
maybe he's having a bad day. You never know, but you're like,
well, then it was weird for me. I used to always mentally think that, but then once I got into it, and I hadn't played against anybody really, but the guys that were coming over to Europe or the EIHL that had been NHL players, they were just like us.
That's it. Well, at that point, you're all in the same league anyway.
And as kids, I think mentally it's huge to actually deep down believe in yourself against those guys, right?
Absolutely. I remember that was one of the first things I was told in like one of the training camps.
I don't think anybody told me. Stan Butler told me when I went to an OHL one, but after that, I don't think anybody told me. So you got drafted 3rd round to St. Louis, though. That's high. So what year is that? Your second year where it's 2 years in a row you guys are excelling in the playoffs up in the Sioux?
Yeah, the second year we went for it. I had a pretty good season. We had a lot of good players on that team. Like Muzzin was on the team. Simmons was on the team. There's other guys that like played not in the NHL, but had very good careers as well. You might not know the names, but we had an awesome team, great group of guys. And yeah, I got drafted from there to St. Louis. That obviously I was amazing to get drafted. And then unfortunately, the only downside of that was that St. Louis at that time was a pretty weak team. So they had so many draft picks. Right. And I kind of got lost in the shuffle there a little bit. So I went back, and then since we'd gone for it, the next season in the Sioux, the team was garbage. Yeah. And we didn't do well at all. And that season, it went really poorly. And then the next year, being on
a bad team is brutal. Yeah. And like winning teams, like teams that win stuff, the step above is always looking like, why did this team win? Right? Who's their second line center? Who's their second line winner? Like who's beating who in this playoff series to do well? And then when you play on a brutal team, you got to have a really good year to like turn any heads, right?
That's it. Or like I maybe be more selfish. I don't know what the answer is. Like we were. Unfortunately, we traded away all kind of the prospects, and
they do that in the OHL, right? If they're going for it, they'll just sell the farm.
the guys that had like given us the chance, we lost in the against Kitchener, who went to the Memorial Cup that year. So the next season, like a lot of the guys moved on, and then the prospects were really there. So it was a tough season. The next one, new coach, and he was kind of thrown into the fire too. Denny Lambert, he was an awesome guy, really treated me really well. So. Yeah, that season, and then the next season I got traded to Plymouth halfway through the season.
And that's probably because they were brutal again, right?
They were so. And then that season I went to Plymouth, and they were okay. We actually ended up playing each other after in the playoffs, Plymouth and Sault Ste. Marie. And when I was already in Plymouth, that season they were pretty good. In Plymouth, we had Tyler Seguin that year. That was kind of like he was our horse, and he was obviously second overall pick, had over 100 points. And we were just okay in Plymouth, but with him, it made us like a contender kind of.
Right.
So we lost in the second round with
so Plymouth. 3 times you lost in the second round.
Yeah. Well, the second year we went into the conference finals.
Okay.
But then at the end of that season, St. Louis said, you know what, you're not one of our prospects we're going to keep. So then I went back into the as a free agent, back into the like eligibility.
Okay. And then with Plymouth, did you play with Garrett Mears?
Yeah, of course.
Mears, he just lives around the corner here.
Does he?
Oh yeah.
He was awesome. We were tight there actually. I haven't spoken to him in years, but he's a great good guy.
He's captain of the Ripley Wolf Senior A team around here. Me and him, played together a bit there.
Nice.
Yeah, marched to the finals. Okay. Anyway, so then your pro options. My guess, you signed 3-year entry-level deal with St. Louis?
San Jose.
Oh.
Actually. Yeah. So St. Louis decided that I wasn't in their plans. So I ended up being a free agent, like I was saying. And then that season, it was my overage year. At the start of the season, I actually went to Edmonton's camp. And they, it was a good experience, but they were like, oh, go back and play and see, we'll watch you. And then I had a really good overage year in Plymouth, and San Jose stepped up and said that we would like to bring you on.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
They signed me to an entry-level deal, and then I played 3 years in Worcester.
Right. And I guess I figured this out when we were out at Heidi's the other night, right?
Yeah.
You and Brody Reed played all 3 years together.
That's right. Yeah, we were roommates in Worcester when I was living there, and we like the first development camp or whatever it was, we got down there and nobody knew each other or anything. So we'd hit it off right away, and we've remained pretty close friends.
Yeah. He seems like a great dude. It's a fun weekend there. Seems like a pretty darn good hockey player too, that Cardiff's got there. Okay. So then what is your role your rookie year? Like you're a free agent then that signs with them, but you get the 3-year deal. That congratulations. I was the same, but I got the 1-year AHL deal. Right. So they obviously thought highly of you, and you never played an East Coast game through that.
No, through those 3 years I didn't. Worcester was, I mean, yeah, we got a lot of opportunity to play. I played in almost every game. I was kind of a 3rd or 4th line player for the most part.
Still a lot of fighting in the league then?
Our team was so tough.
Yeah.
We had like so many guys. I think we were one of the toughest teams. we still talk. Brody and I this weekend at High, we were talking about playing against Mark Lewis, and we're joking because like at the time, I'm over 200 pounds, 6'1",
and you don't want to fight him.
If I want to go up, I need to be fighting guys that are like Mark, but Lou is like next level, right? Like he'd knock my block off. So
yeah, like he did to that poor kid in Europe.
There's a couple times when we got close and like I kind of had to grab him, but never like but he's super respectful, right? Like Lou knows he plays by the code, like old school. So he knows that if I'm like, no, he's not going to take a cheap shot or anything. And I respect him for that, because there were some times when we get into it where he would have been in his rights. Yeah.
Well, back when I broke in with the AHL for like a handful of games, and like it was a circus out there. There's just monsters fighting each other on the third, fourth lines. It was crazy, but I didn't know how much it had changed, because you're a while after me that you're doing that.
But there were guys still that were like the goons enforcers that were still in the league then that didn't really play. They were just there to like intimidate and fight.
To me, seeing Lou this weekend, the way he skates, the way he could shoot the puck, the way he can beat people up.
Lou was more than.
How did that guy not make it? I don't get that.
He was not just a fighter. That's not what.
That's what I mean. Like he can do it all.
He could do it all. He could do it all. I don't know what his contract situation was. There's so much that goes into it at that point. How we're talking about the guys that are so good. There's also so many guys that are like
the next level.
Liners that could be third liners in the NHL. And it kind of depends on opportunity. I was going to mention that, like when I was in San Jose, they had 14 guys on like a one-way NHL deal. So unless you get like 3 or 4 or 5 forward injuries, there's no one going up. They don't really call people up unless there's a lot of injuries. And that never really happened. We only had 3 or 4 guys that were kind of their guys that had already been in the NHL and had experience that they would call up. And San Jose was competitive those 3 years I was there. So there really wasn't any movement up and down.
Well, and I always find that I always found it weird, because the top AHL guys that I'd be seeing like lighting it up in Syracuse, they wouldn't be who was called up. It would be like the fast skating defensive centerman, right? And I always found that the guys that got called up and stayed, they did one thing world class, whether it was penalty killing, skating, whether it was power play, like whether every guy did one thing world class, and you're the guy that did all of it. So it's like, well, if we call you up, like,
it goes back to that. Honestly, it's kind of been a curse of my career where but
it helps teams win.
When I got drafted there, they told me that they had written down on my scouting report that it was like jack of all trades, master of none, which I kind of took like as a compliment, and it's a gift and a curse all at once, right? For me.
It is.
I was kind of pigeonholed in that sense, like right at 18, and I haven't really been able to find a spot for myself. So I still am kind of everywhere in teams when they're.
But that's exactly like for me as a coach, like there's so many different things that happen through a season. Even when I was coaching under 11, right? Like there was a game I put my son on D because that was what was best for the team in that situation, where usually he'd be the centerman, but that game we were missing certain players on D, and I had to put him back there for the best of the team. And for a coach, having a player that can do all that shit would be very helpful to win hockey games,
I agree.
Okay. Yeah. So then did you ever feel close to a call up? Because you like your first 2 years, you have over 20 or so points in the A.
Yeah. You know what? The closest I got was actually in the playoffs. If you'd remember when Rafi Torres was in San Jose and he was running around like killing people all the time.
Yeah.
That was when they said like he had gotten the suspension, and our season was actually already over. And they called me when I was home already saying, hey, we need you to start working out, because if we have any more injuries, you're going to be the next one. So that was kind of the closest that I had really ever gotten. Other than that, they never said anything. Like when I was playing, they mentioned, yeah, you're doing well, you're doing not so well. And someone gets injured maybe, but I never saw a call up.
No. Yeah. Well, anyways, so then your third year with them, you get traded,
to
the Manchester Monarchs.
Yeah.
So that's with half a season left or not much left in your deal with them, right? So it's kind of like teams will do that, right? So the other team can get a look at you for the end of the season, or are they on a playoff run?
They were actually on a playoff run. They were first place. So I was really excited about that side of it, like as far as the AHL part of it. But the NHL part of it, I mean, I knew there wasn't much of a future there because LA had just won the cup the year before. They were an absolute
stacked.
There's no chance. But at the deadline, they had lost one of their big right wingers. So they had traded to get me. And it was awesome. Like I got there and I was on a top team in the AHL now. And I was playing, I think, second line when I got there. I had like 8 points in 11 games. And then I realized that they just brought me in to hold like a place. And then all their prospects finished university and all their seasons. And then they brought up
all those young punks come rolling into town.
They came up and they were just like, I actually got scratched after that. And I was playing some of my best hockey and they're just like, sorry, like we really like what you've done, but the organization wants to see these guys play.
And that's what the AHL is, right? Yeah. They want to see their puppies play.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah. So then that season plays out, you guys, whatever. So then the next year you signed with the Idaho Steelheads
in Idaho. Yeah.
What a city, eh?
Idaho is one of the best places that I've ever been. Honestly, I can't think of a better place in the States. It was amazing to play there. I loved it.
I only went to play them in the finals with the Daytona Beach Bombers, and what a spot.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I'd never been out there.
It's one of those places, like in some ways I compare to Cardiff in the sense that it's got literally everything you could want to do, but it's still
everybody was happy.
Just it maintains a kind of small town feel though, still somehow.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that from a place. So I really liked Idaho. It's like a university city too. We had rowdy fans. Team was good that year, so it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So your team was good then. You also got called up for 6 more A games, but it's frustrating, right? You've done your 3 years, you've been close, and now you're signing in the coast, right? It's a great spot to play and it's a lot of fun, but it's still frustrating, right?
It was really frustrating. When I got there, my agent and everyone, we talked about it, and they're like, yeah, I don't think there's going to be an AHL deal. You're probably better off going there, doing really well. Then everyone can look at you and anyone can potentially call you up. And so I was like, okay. So I started there and I had an amazing start, and then I didn't get a call up and I was just kind of discouraged, and then I had a lull.
And you don't play as good when like you're so hungry and you're getting after it. And then it's like, it's not happening and you get frustrated and you get a bit flat, right? You just, cause you're so frustrated. Happy hockey players play better.
And the travel there, like as great as Idaho is, was wild. Like Alaska was still in the league then. So we were doing 3-on-3s with a flight up to Alaska for games too. We were getting exhausted. So, and there's only 10 forwards in the ECHL at that time. I don't know if that's changed. I mean, I'm making excuses right now. Like, what is this?
I don't know. That's what I did in the Daytona Beach Bombers, but we didn't go to Alaska. But there's a lot of bus trips.
It was awesome. But like I said, anyway, I had a good start.
It's a different lifestyle, that East Coast thing, though, man. Like when you've been in the A for 3 years, and then all of a sudden you're doing 3-on-3, and you're going to the flight to Alaska, man. That shit's frustrating, right?
It was a lot. It was an eye opener. So then I got called up to Springfield, and that was good. I mean, I met a lot of people there. Like it was great. And then after that, it was just.
So then it's time to head to Europe, right?
Yeah. At that point, I was pretty frustrated with how things ended in Idaho, and I was like, okay, I don't see myself being an NHL player at this point. So. And
that's when it's time to head to Europe. So how does it happen? How do you get to Europe? How do you get to Dornbirn?
Well, as these things happen, I guess an agent called me and was like, "Are you interested?" Yeah. And actually, I remember at the end of the year in Idaho being like, "Wait, like I just played 3 years like on an entry level deal, and I'm making like pretty good money, obviously as a NHL contract, and then I finish in Idaho." And I'm going like, this is how much money I made this year.
Oh yeah.
It's tough. And it was like, pretty tough.
Yeah. And, tough to get through the summer. That's when you got to start working.
So then I'm thinking like, okay, we're going to do this again. What are we thinking here? And at that time, Veronica and I we're going to live together. We're at that stage. So so then an agent called me and said, do you want to go to Dornbirn? I said, yeah, I don't even really know where Austria is, but I'll look it up. And I looked more into it, and it was like, on the map, it looked gorgeous, like the mountains there and everything.
I played an exhibition game in Dornbirn. Nice old barn with mountains all around it, right?
Mountains everywhere, yeah. And you're right in you're wedged right between Switzerland, Germany, and Austria. You're right on the border there. And it was amazing. It was an amazing place to start in my European career, like gorgeous.
Did you go there on a 2-year deal?
No.
So you signed 1 year and then they wanted you back.
Yeah.
They're a smaller budget team in the Ebel, right?
Yeah, which I had no idea about any of that stuff at the time.
Right. And you wouldn't unless you go over there, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I always tell anyone that's even considering to go over, like friends now that have been playing, like make sure you ask and find out as much as you can.
Every place is different, man.
Every place is different. And
every coach is different.
Every management's like, there's some teams that have terrible reputations for, anything. And then other teams that are amazing and some you got to watch out for, but I mean, for the most part,
they usually don't change though. Usually the teams that they've been in the leagues for decades, they're pretty solid.
Yeah. They're for a reason.
So then you like Dornbirn?
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it a lot. It was good. We had good group of guys there. The nice thing about the Austrian league is that there's a lot of imports. So to start there, we had I think 10 imports. I think they've lowered it since, but I think we had 10 English speaking Canadian guys. So that's
a lot.
Yeah, so that helped a lot, to integrate myself in the community, to have that many people around that we're able to communicate with and everything.
Can du sprechen ein bisschen Deutsch?
Ein bisschen.
Oh, leck mir am Arsch. So you were an assistant captain there too, eh?
Yeah, the second season they named me an assistant there. Yeah.
So I always find it interesting because I wasn't named a captain of many teams, but it must mean a lot when a professional hockey team's name you one of the captains.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's always an honor, and even more so now when you're in Europe, if you're not a local guy too. I find that looking back, that they entrusted me with that, so that was really nice, actually. Yes. So
you guys that's a smaller budget. So how'd you guys do those years? Did you do anything? Make playoffs?
First year we did well. That's why they wanted us back.
Right.
And they brought a lot of the core back. First year we kind of overachieved, and then the second year we kind of underachieved, actually.
Yeah. And then they clear house again. So you end up with Bad Nauheim.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how that? I'm guessing the research team, just in my brain, how I've got this together in my brain. Okay. Your agent may tell you different, but this is how it works in the hockey world. Okay. Harry Lange, legend in Austria.
Yeah.
And now a legend with Bad Nauheim. He switched. It wasn't from that team though. It was Vlock, but everybody in Austria knows him. People in Austria like you. They made you captain. You're their second year. And then they got a clean house, but they're like, hey, this guy's a great teammate. He does everything for the team. They call Harry, say, Harry, you got to look at this guy.
I don't know. He might've got references, but he was not, he was actually still playing that year.
Right. He's the coach now, but he's had the ear of everybody in Bad Nauheim.
He's now the head coach, but he previously was a player there. And I played with him that first year. And then the second year he became an assistant coach there. And at the end of the season, they were pretty much like, yeah, we're going to wait and see. They never said no, actually. They might have been open to me going back there, but I kind of thought at that point that we didn't have that great a season. It's time to try and look for something new. And another guy on the team, Cody Sylvester, actually had already signed in Bad Nauheim. So I decided that, yeah, let's see. And then they were interested. So I signed up there.
I don't think I ever played in Bad Nauheim. They were in the third
outdoor arena.
Arena. I've heard that.
Yeah, which was actually really cool. It's obviously there's some drawbacks.
I know where I heard that.
Yeah.
Boston Levi.
Yeah.
Mike McNamee.
Yeah.
You played with him in Bad Nauheim.
Yeah, we did play together. Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. I just saw Samuel Jardines hitting the road with his band right now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so excited. Every time I hear one of his songs, because he would love to just grab the guitar and go belt one out for the boys. Anytime, any place, hand the guitar, he's singing, and you're loving it. And he puts on a great show, even if it's a small little acoustic setting. If anyone that is listening that hasn't checked them out, definitely check out Boston Levi.
Oh yeah.
But he actually sang in the opening introduction to the town. Elvis Presley lived in Bad Nauheim during the war, right after the war, during the war. And so it's one of the biggest Elvis Presley festivals in Europe is in Bad Nauheim. And that's at the end of the summer. And that's when they announced the new team for the next season, because they love the hockey there at this festival in Bad Nauheim. And Mike McNamee went on stage and he sang for everyone, and it was awesome. And I was so pumped for him, like stones on the guy to just get up there and belt out a song for all these people.
Now he's opening for the Glorious Sons, and man, he's gonna get big. I'm glad I got him in the shed early on.
Yeah, I wish the guy the best of luck. He deserves it.
Yeah, no. So that's where I had heard that. Okay, but you have a good year at that first year, eh? 50 points in 52 games.
Yeah, I did well. The team did well. We made the playoffs that year, which it hadn't many times before that, from what I understood. And they wanted me back. Yeah, so we had a good season. And
so where's the best food you've played so far? What country has the best food?
Best food? Wow, that's tough.
Austria,
you know
Germany.
It's hard to say the best food, because like being in Slovakia versus Germany versus Austria, like they're all their main kind of delicacies are all unreal. They're all so nice.
Yeah, they all have their own thing, right?
Yeah. So it's hard to say.
My thing was always Germany, because in Germany you'd have the German restaurants, but you'd also have the Italian restaurants. You'd have the Turkish guys on each corner giving me what I want. You know, like there was everything.
Which the real Turkish kebabs that they have in Germany are like cut above.
It's not Chippy Lane. That doesn't hold off, not even close to what the fellas are putting together in Germany, eh?
But you know what I found in Germany? It was tough to get a good burger, which I like.
That's very true. Very true.
In Germany and Austria, and then in Slovakia, I guess like since the fall of communism or something, I'm sorry if I'm offending someone.
No.
Wrong. But like since then, they didn't have any like the Western food. So when that happened, they got burgers and they love burgers. So now you can get an amazing hamburger in Slovakia, not so much in Germany.
You can in Germany. They'd have sports bars. They'd call them North American sports bars. And you'd get there. Their chicken wings weren't very good. Their burgers weren't very good. But the Germans loved it because that was the best they had there, right? They're doing their best.
They don't know.
Yeah,
they don't know. But like a good schnitzel from Germany or Austria, like, oh yeah,
there you go. I knew we were getting along last weekend. God, you go to the grocery store and they just have a schnitzel on a bun with like the mustard. That's just, anyways, I'm getting off track again. Okay. But that Harry Longe was a good dude, eh? Like there's a reason why he stays with teams for as long as he does. He was with Villach for like a decade, switches to Germany with the German pass and Austria. And then he's with Bad Nauheim for so long and becomes their coach. I mean, only good, solid dudes do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to make an impression on a team organization, and absolutely did that.
I always find it's hard. It's easy to find. You got to find a home in Europe, right? And like the only way is if you win or, I don't know, or you get okay with being on a small budget team that doesn't win. There may be the odd guy that sticks around and is okay with that, but it's weird when you get to Europe, right? Trying to find a home.
Yeah. Well, like we said, we've bounced around quite a bit. Obviously, we're naming all these different places and countries I've been to, and yeah, it is hard to find a home, and it's hard to, once you get like in a place for so many years, you can get complacent. So there's problems that go along with that as well. So
I did in Bietigheim for sure.
Yeah. That's where you were in Bietigheim?
Yeah, I was there 4 years.
That's a nice area there.
Nice yes. Rink. Yeah, very nice place. I was in the old rink though. That happened after me. But anyways, yeah, that's what one guy said to me when I first went over there, and I'm like my second year in, he goes, Wally, you gotta, when you're over here, if you want to last like for a really long time, he's like, you got to find a home. And then I tried to do that in Bietigheim, and then I got complacent. Like you said, it can happen when you're in a place for too long and you get comfortable, right?
Get comfortable.
But anyways, I don't know where I was going with that. But at Bad Nauheim, your second year, you're doing the same thing. You're doing really good. So why do you leave to go to Cardiff?
Man, this was I don't know. It's hard to tell the story without like, there's a lot of frustration involved still. So you're allowed 4 import spots in this league in the Del2, and the imports are very heavily relied upon.
Yes.
So we start off the season, I'm doing well statistically, but the team's struggling a little bit, and there's been a new coach come in. So they signed me back before kind of like
the new coach was signed
out there. So this can be a problem, which I didn't realize at the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I was naive about that. So anyway, they signed me back because they loved me. The town liked me, like everything was good. And I was excited to be back. New coach comes in. He's not so sure, who's this guy? I'm doing well though, but the team's struggling. So we had 3 forwards and 1 D at that point. And then kind of a few games in, they're like, yeah, we would like to go 4 forwards import spots. So we'd like to bring in another forward. So yeah, I don't care. I mean, I'm playing well, like whatever, should be fine. So as soon as we bring in this other forward spot, we get 2 defensive injuries. And then now there's 4 imports and this defenseman
So now,
has to play. And they were kind of like, yeah, we don't really know what to do. So there's a couple games that they wanted me to play that they only played 4 defensemen. They're like, this isn't sustainable. So I ended up kind of getting pushed out in that sense. The other guys were putting up numbers as well. And then this new forward they brought in was like the coach's guy. And
what nationality was the coach?
He was German.
Yeah.
He was a German guy. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall, like, and it's not good for me if
I always found bad on those teams. As soon as you bring in that extra import, as soon as you bring in that guy, it changes the whole dynamic of the team.
Yeah, it does. But I just knew, like, if I'm going to be in and out of the lineup, you can't really get momentum. You can't get it going. And I'm not really putting myself in a position to succeed. At that time, Cardiff, Lordo was there, and he was, excuse me, he was looking to bring another guy on because I think that season, Joey Haddad had an injury. So they needed another guy, and he had known about me from before. So I was looking for a new team, and he said, yeah, but this is the situation. Like, you're going to come in to fill this guy who's injured. When he comes back, he's been here forever. He's a legend. We don't know how things are going to go.
Right. But they were honest with you, and they told you what it was going to be, right? But you also knew you had a chance to win shit, right?
That was it. Like, do you want to come here? You're going to win. And everyone was like, oh, well, Cardiff's the best place you can go in the EI. That was all I'd heard at that point. So I was like, yeah, okay, let's try it. So I went to Cardiff, and I sat out a couple games at the end because Haddad was healthy.
Yeah.
And we were like, this is our guy. Of course he's going to play. And yeah, that's kind of what I signed on for. So whatever.
But you did play the playoff games.
I played in the playoffs. Yeah.
And I mean, like, that is a lineup that was probably set, right? They're in first place. You bring in new guys. It's hard to break into those lineups. Like, I know we did it one year. We brought in, I think, a Finnish guy, Tatanen, and like we already had like our lineup set. We had our top 2 lines. You have your penalty killers, your power play guys, and to break in and really be one of the cogs, it's very hard mid-season, right?
Yeah. And even just everything was so weird. Cause like, especially with the things that had happened to me already in Germany, like I'd gone from being on top of the world, having a great season, to now like getting pushed out of a place that I kind of considered home at that point. And so I'm already in a not the best place mentally, going to a new team, and the guys were amazing. Like the going into Cardiff that year, like everyone was so friendly, like everyone was so welcoming, and I didn't have really any issues with that. But it was just my game wasn't as good as it could have been. I know
right.
That. And
and mentally, that's part of it, right? With the way it ends in Germany, like the way it ended for me at Bietigheim, and then I go to Hellbraun, like that's the same way, right? It was like, you're just, I don't know, a little more fragile, I guess, right? And then it takes some time to be like, well, fuck this.
It's shitty looking back and having those feelings of, it's not regret, obviously, but it like, you're just like, I wish I
you just know you could have been better.
Could have been better, yeah. I could have been better.
There's times in my career I could have been better too, and I know that.
Yeah. But it's
the people that realize it, right? It's the people that are like making excuses, like it's because I played with him, it's because he didn't give me as much ice time, it's because of this, it's because of that. The people that realize like I'm not playing up to my level.
Yeah. And that's not to say like I still I think I still was like made an impact on the club, and like I think I helped the team, and I think that's a little bit reflective on me being invited back and like being welcomed in even just for this testimonial weekend, because I was only there for a short amount of time.
Well, that's what I said to you. If Matthew Myers is bringing you back, that means something to me. And then like the research team hadn't been hot yet. I didn't even know where you'd played. And I'm like, you're coming on next. But it was him having you back is like, it shows what type of teammate you are, in my opinion.
Thank you. Yeah. So but that was it. Like, you're going to go to Cardiff and you're going to probably win a championship. So that year we unfortunately lost by 1 point, the season title. And
was
then
it that last game against?
Yeah. All we needed was a tie, and Coventry beat. It was a tie, but I didn't play that game, and I was standing watching, and the guys are going like, yeah, Livy, start getting your stuff on because we're going to be celebrating. And I'm like, oh God, like, I don't know, like they're putting a lot of pressure on right now. And then they ended up scoring, and like, it was tough. Like that one was for the whole squad at that point. That was a kick in the shorts. And then,
but then you guys did end up winning the playoffs.
Then it was all business for playoffs, and we were winning that for sure. And that was an amazing experience to win with.
It is nice to be able to end it with that, though, after how sour it would have been after that league loss, eh?
Exactly. So that was a great cherry on top of the whole situation, of the whole memory there.
Yeah. Okay, so then after that, then you sign with Fife and become their captain, eh?
Yeah. At that point, I mean, I thought that there was a good chance I would go back to Cardiff, but
and then when you start a new season, it's a lot easier to find your role on the team, and Lordo can plan for you to play the role he would envision, right? Instead, it's like I was speaking with Matthew Myers about you actually on the way to the airport, and he mentioned, like, he said you fill a very similar role to what he does.
Yeah, in some ways, yeah.
Like play up and down the lineup, power play, penalty kill, do whatever the team needs, right?
Yeah, exactly. So then I go up to, I was hoping, like, I just kind of thought that after we won the championship that most of the guys would be back, and then I was kind of expecting to come back to Cardiff, and I kind of waited and wasn't really thinking about where else I could go. And
then it gets late.
I kind of panicked a little bit at the end of the season. I didn't know what I was going to do, and Fife was calling. So, okay, I went up to Fife.
Yeah. And then, so yeah, you have that year, I guess you said that, it's different expectations there, but what a barn, eh?
Yeah,
it's old school. They like I found it cool when you go out for like the national anthem and they got the kilts and like the bagpipes.
I mean, the fight, like the fans were so passionate. I mean, they just wanted to see a good product with everyone laying it out every night. Like if you don't win, but they're a little more excited for fighting than really I care for. Yeah. But like, I get it. Like they want a entertaining night out, and their money to come, and they want guys to go through the wall for the city. And I honestly wish that I could have been a part of a winning team there, because I know it would have been so much fun. The people are passionate and knowledgeable enough about hockey. It's just that we didn't unfortunately have the lineup like up and down to be competitive. And even when we played against Cardiff, we would be competitive for like 2 periods, and we'd be right in there neck and neck. And then
it's just hard to keep up for the whole game when they got
4 solid line, and we couldn't keep up with their depth. And then they score 3 goals at the end of the game because we had nothing left.
Yeah, it's just not sustainable against 4 lines just rolling at you. Then I totally get that. Yeah,
but Fife was like gorgeous. We got to live like really close to the beach. Like I have a dog. Like we went running every day on the beach. Like that part.
Did you say you went running every day?
Like he ran. I threw.
I was gonna say, man. Whoa. I have other, like for Fife. I think I don't know where we stayed when we'd go there. I think it was like Glasgow, and then you just bus there, right? And that was like our hub. But I don't really remember what Fife was like. I just remember showing up outside the arena, playing, and leaving. So it's nice there. There's a beach.
It's on the water, yeah. Kirkcaldy is the town that they play in, and Edinburgh is one of the best cities in the UK. I think it's amazing there. I think that's probably where you stayed.
Yeah, that's right, by the monkeys, by the zoo.
It's about a half hour from Edinburgh, and Fife, where they play, is about a half hour from Edinburgh. And any chance that we could go in there, it was amazing. Like Christmas markets, everything. Edinburgh's a great city.
Christmas markets are awesome, eh? In Germany.
Yeah.
They got them in Slovakia. That's where we're heading next.
So listen to this though. We were the last place in the EIHL in Fife. We're on the bus going to Coventry, another, 8-9 hour bus trip, play, and then come home. And we get on the bus, and an hour in, one of these, turn it around, COVID, season's done, season's canceled. So technically, the jury's still out on where we would have finished.
Yeah, wouldn't have been last, right?
So then,
just like Cardiff wouldn't have won the league, right?
Who knows? We'll never know.
Right.
We'll never know.
Never know.
So at that point, it's COVID time. Veronica's brother, who is working, they're in London. Two of her brothers are working in London at that point. So she drives to London. This is right before the COVID hysteria is really picking up. Picks them and comes back. And all of their work is between here and the Middle East. So we're like, okay, well, we can't go back to Canada in case we need to go back if they have to go to the Middle East. So we stayed in Fife for the whole lockdown of the pandemic. And it wasn't that bad because Scotland wasn't really that hardly hit. So
you stayed in Fife through the whole thing?
Through the whole 3-month lockdown, we stayed there, and we were like, and at that point everyone was so like scared. No one knew what was coming. Like, so we're like, up here, I mean, we're away from everything. We're in a small town in Scotland. I think that this is about as safe as we can be. And it never was very serious up there as far as like cases and death. So
then during COVID, like, to me, I almost envisioned it like, as a hockey player, it's almost like getting a job in a lockout, right? Getting jobs in lockouts for imports was awful, right? Because then all the NHL players are coming over, taking their jobs. But like COVID, there were so many people without jobs. There were leagues that weren't going. There were East Coast teams not going, AHL teams not going, and then everybody wants a job, right? So how did you get to Slovakia? Because you obviously found a good job during all the baloney.
I was super lucky. I'll tell you the story. It's kind of a long story, but I was really, really lucky because when we were in Scotland during the lockdown, my wife's Italian. Veronica's got a family cottage in Italy still. So while we were up there, we finally were just like, okay, we've had enough of Scotland. Things are starting to calm down a little bit. It looks like the world's not going to end. What are we doing? Are we going to stay in Scotland forever? No. So we ended up buying a car, 1,200 pounds we paid to get a car, and the team had taken their car back, obviously. And we loaded up with all our stuff, our dog. We drive it to Italy. Go to Italy, spend the next couple months there. And the whole time I'm just on the phone trying to call teams. They're like, well, like, why would we sign you? You know, you didn't really have a great season. You're in Fife last year. Things weren't looking good. Luckily, I had a friend that was playing on this team in Slovakia in Poprad, and he had played with me in Germany. He was there, and he had also played with me in Idaho. And he was
what's his name?
Mike Dalhusen.
Okay.
So he was there, and he's always been a great friend to me. We kept in touch when he was playing in Kazakhstan. Like, he's been all over. And great player, Dalhusen. So anyway, so I said, hey, is there room on this team? And they're like, yeah, I think they are looking for a new import. I'm like, well, I'm in Italy. Like, the thing that I got going for me at this point is that I'm only a drive away. And I know that after Fife, I know I'm not going to get paid. So if you're willing to give me a chance, like, I'll come on my dime. Like, I'll do it. I've got a car here. I can be there this afternoon. Just tell me. So finally, I called this guy from my mother-in-law's phone, the GM there. I called him. He doesn't speak very much English. He's answering, going, who's this? Yeah, I can't talk right now. So finally I get through to him, and I'm like, yeah, like, and they're like, okay, what would you come for this? Thinking that I'm going to say, like, no, I need more money, but this is COVID time. And I'm like, no, yeah, I'll take it. So I went there, and just first time on the ice, hadn't skated in 8 or 9 months. And they're like, what is this guy? Like, is he even a hockey player? Like, what is this? And I'm like, yeah, I've been on the beach. Like, sorry, I haven't skated. I don't know what you want me to tell you. But then I find my groove, and I ended up 4th on the team in scoring. We went to the finals that year. So we
had a great year. Yeah. Did you guys go to the finals? Did you play Dan Seaman's team in the finals? Was he the coach of the other team? Who'd you lose to?
No, I don't think he was there that year.
No, he would have been gone already.
Yeah, he wasn't there. I know him a little bit, but no, he wasn't there. But we lost to Zvolen.
Okay.
Slovak team, and it was
how many games?
Crazy. I think it was in game 5 that we lost, but every game was like overtime. And in the finals that year was the first time all season that they allowed a small amount of fans into the arenas too. So it was like extra electric atmosphere, and everyone
was fans back. So you played without fans like for a lot of the year.
Yeah, and last year as well. They took fans out again. Yeah, in Slovakia.
It's totally different experience without fans, right? Like, playing in Europe, the fans were the biggest part of like the atmosphere.
The European atmosphere is amazing. Like, even in like a team that's not good, their fans are so passionate. Like I said, even in Fife, like, there's so much energy that you're getting from the building, negative or positive, depending.
And then you go watch like a junior hockey game around here, like in Canada or the US, and like people think watching the NHL that they're loud and like that they're into it. Like, they have no clue.
Yeah, apples and oranges a little bit. It's just different.
It is. Like, yeah, in Canada or the US, like, realistically, if there's a huge body check, they might cheer, or a goal. The rest of the time, they kind of just sit there and watch. Where over there's drums, they're chanting, they're dancing, they're topless. they're chugging hot wine.
The football atmosphere a little more. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, so the first year you go to the finals, so everybody's happy, and then they re-sign you.
Yeah, right away. I was thinking like, I don't know what's going to happen from here, but the day after we finished, we like went to party, and they're like, hey, we're going to talk tomorrow morning about your contract for next season. And in my mind, like they'd already told other guys that they weren't going to renew their contracts, even though we'd done so well. So I'm like, okay, so obviously I can't get too lit up here at the end of the year party. So I got to meet with management tomorrow morning.
Do your best.
Yeah. But anyway, no, it was good. So I went in there, and they were right away. They were like, yeah, we'd like you to come back. And I was lucky to get another year in Pop Rod.
Yeah. And so
I actually love the logo too. This is their
Is that
logo.
the Pop Rod hat there?
The Pop Rod, yeah. The chamois. It's right in the mountain range in Slovakia. It's a gorgeous area, amazing nature, wildlife and everything. So yeah, it's a good place.
Is it really cold there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like around Christmas time, it was like minus 35.
What do you do for fun around there?
I didn't get a full, like I said, because I was there pandemic time. So I didn't really get to fully
experience it. And like, yeah,
the area has to offer. But like I've already mentioned that I have the dog, and like the nature there was gorgeous. So we could go on amazing walks. We were lucky. We actually found a place a little bit outside of town, and we really took advantage of the nature there. So
then you did you had a great season again.
Yeah, this last season was so emotional, such an emotional roller coaster, because we had 3 coaches. We changed a bunch of players. The team was underachieving, and then by the end of it, we went to Game 7 against a team we had no business even really showing up against in the first round. But through it all, like one thing that happened was they signed a guy that they expected to be their first line left winger, and I usually play right wing, but I also play left wing, but I usually play right wing. And they signed a guy that they thought was going to be their first line left winger, and he didn't work out. The older Slovak guys, they have a lot of pull, so they kind of were like, he's not the guy. So they got rid of him, and then I ended up being this first line left winger with 2 like awesome Slovak players, and I put up like a lot of points right away, and I was one of the top point producers in the league for a long time. Then I kind of tailed off after I sprained my sternum, but I mean, that was just one thing that I
sprained it.
Yeah, I got hit and my collarbone came out and over this side, but the doctor said that I was lucky that my shoulder wasn't messed up. Yeah, but it was still a painful thing to deal with. Anyway, whatever, we just played through it, and I ended up with a good point total. So,
but that's the thing that a lot of people don't get, right? When, like, say a season's going one way, and then all of a sudden you see it kind of tail off. Is like, there's some guys that will play through injuries for their teammates, like for their organization. There are other guys that will be like, I'm not playing because then I'm not going to produce as much. I'm not going to, they literally will put themselves above the team and what's best for winning that game that night. And some people that you're not going to know. So in one of our bathroom talks at Heidi's the other night, right? Were you in there for some of the bathroom talks with all the guys? We were talking hockey in the bathroom. There's like 15 of us taking up the whole bathroom, but I won't say who it was because I'll get him in the shed again. But there was a fella, say, on an Orange team last year that played for weeks with a broken sternum. He showed me the scar, or what it looks like. It's way out. And he said he was starting to lose like the feeling in his arms and his hands and stuff. And he played for like, I think it was like 20 games with a broken sternum.
Oh yeah. That's like I had a sprain and it was really painful. I couldn't do anything close to a push-up for a good month. And I played through it. And when you're taking, any kind of bumps to the chest or anything else, it's quite painful.
Yeah. But then there's guys that will go out there and compete the best they can in the shape they're in, right? Like, and then there's other guys that'll just be like, no, I'm not going out there because it's not best for my career because I might go 10 games without any points.
Yeah. And that is like, you know what is it's kind of like, it's unfortunate that that's the way it is, but in hindsight, I probably should have taken a little time. And I didn't want to, because we were already short staffed and everything else, but you'd think at my age and now with my experience that I'd know better. and just be like, put
But
myself.
you're a gamer and you want to do it, because I was the same, man.
Watch, man, I can't do it. I get too excited. Even if I watch the guys out there and I'm in the stands, like I'm like every play I'm acting it out in the chair, right? So
I totally know, man. Sitting out's the worst experience in hockey. Yeah. And it was great to be back on the ice though last weekend. I had fun. I didn't know what it was going to go like. I'm not injured, you know?
It was a great time. I mean, I think it all went off like without a hitch too. Like, I think it was a good show for everyone. I think they enjoyed themselves. Like,
absolutely. And folks, Matthew Myers is raffling off all the other second set of jerseys. So we had red and black that night. I believe the blacks are up for raffle now. So find it. It's on his testimonial social media stuff. Find that auction and continue to support him. It's like got a week left. And you know what? It's a gift to him for everything he's done for the Devils. And he deserves every penny he's going to get from that night.
Yeah. I mean, he's a legend, man. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm happy that they do these types of things for players in the AHL. I think it's a really nice thing to do. It's
really cool. Like that they do. Yeah, you're right. That they do that. And they remember the people that have got the organizations to where they are, right?
Absolutely. And if you get my jersey, or no, if you get Wally's jersey, that you get a little extra treat because it's going to be covered in champagne.
That's right. And yours, I figured out what happened with the spelling on yours, eh?
Okay, what is it?
Research team got hot and put in your name, and there is a James Livingston from Nottingham.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they added the E on his, folks. So that's right.
Yeah.
That makes it a one of a kind, folks. But yeah, those are up for auction. So please buy something, if you want to, and help support Matthew, right?
They're nice jerseys too. So
yeah. Well, no, seriously, it was great getting to know you last weekend. And that's what I love about the hockey world. That's how this whole thing started. Was I love talking to hockey dudes about hockey and about their lives and where it all went. And meeting guys like you, when Matthew Myers is saying, these are some of the best teammates I've ever had in my career. I think it's incredible that we got to go there and all get to meet each other. It was just so much fun. And thank you again for the invite, Matthew, right?
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Mizey. Yeah.
And we're champions, right?
That's right. Yeah. We lifted that trophy.
And folks, if anybody is looking for a fantastic guy, hard worker, that's a leader on your team that can play anywhere in your lineup, you can contact his agent or the shed directly. And this has been another episode of Zero Ales and Hockey Tales with Livy and Wally.